pack coming at you. And today I have a special guest, and it's one of my clients that I worked with back in 2014, so last year. And it's been a year since we worked. We went through a 6-month program, and this is Chalice. And I'm excited for her to share her story because of the process that we went through, and her transformation and her evolution was like mind-blowing. Like, it was so incredible. From where she started, you can see the before and after pictures. Like, I'll post them on here on this video, and you can see the difference in her transformation. Like, it's completely incredible. And for it only being 6 months, like, I always look at that picture and I'm like, this is like a totally different person right here. So it's incredible. So but first off, like, Chalice, just kind of talk to us a little bit about where and what your life was like before we started working together.
Well, it was basically just, I didn't really think much about food. I didn't think about exercise. I didn't think of anything. It was just have fun, do what you felt like. There was no conscious effort of, this is healthy, I should eat this. This is not healthy, I shouldn't eat this. So everything was just about having fun, not worrying about any of that. And then family-wise, everything revolved around food. Everything was just, let's hang out, let's go to lunch, do things like that. And then once I started understanding, I realized that everything can't be all about food. So we would do things instead of going to lunch, or we would just make healthier choices. And the worst thing and the best thing that happened is thinking about food. So before, you don't really think about it much, and then you have to start thinking about it. But that's also the worst thing, is you're constantly thinking about it. So, but that's pretty much just everything was, you didn't really make a conscious effort about anything. So, in the health-wise.
Yeah. So I love what she's saying, because a lot of times this is what happens with a lot of us, is like, it's hard because you have to make a conscious effort, especially when you first start out, when you're trying to break those habits. I would imagine,
Definitely.
you have to break that conscious behavior and the habits that we've created. So I love that. So just kind of talk to me a little bit about, what was it like in your personal life, from where you were, and what was, where were you at, like, physically, mentally?
Well, I never really thought of myself as overweight or fat. I felt like I was keeping up with everyone still. I was doing everything everyone else was. And then as high school went on, it was just, one of my best friends is a health nut. She was always working out, always doing sports, always saying we shouldn't eat this, shouldn't do that. But it never affected our friendship, so I never thought of it. I never was like, oh, she's making me feel bad about myself. It's always just, I wish I could do that type of thing. And then you would have fun with friends. You would just, when you were having a good time, you didn't think about it much. But then it started once I graduated high school. It was, now you're in the professional world, and you're going to college, and you're seeing all these kids, and you're seeing all these people, and it's just like, you start to realize what has happened over the last couple of years, and then you're just like, how did it happen? Like, how did I get this big? How did I not think about this before? And then just mentally, it was just, that's when it started. It was just basically when I graduated. My high school was fine. I never had any issue in high school, and I was bigger, but like I said, no one made you feel like you were bad or anything like that. And so college is when it was like, okay, you really need to do something, or you're just going to keep getting bigger because you're gained through high school. And so it was just, mentally, it hit hard for a long time. It was just, my first year of college, I was having fun doing the college thing, but then it was always in the back of my mind. Like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Or I started not going out, because especially in like more of like, not really the party scene, but you're going to people's houses, or they want to go out and dance or something. And it's just like, when you're not comfortable in your skin, you don't want to do those things. You don't want to put yourself in those situations. And when you do, all you think about is what people are thinking. Like, she looks bigger, or she's sloppy, or things like that. And so it was just, I would start saying no thanks, or how about we do something else, or let's just stay in. Definitely my personality is a homebody. I stay home a lot. I don't go out a lot. And I think the way it started was because I was not scared to go out, but just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And no one likes to be uncomfortable. So it was just easier for my closest friends who I knew accepted me for me to come over and watch a movie and we'll eat food.
Yeah.
So that's always was it was. And so once that changed and you started seeing results, it was just, well, I can go out now. Like, I look better than I did, so I can definitely go out and have fun. It just changes so much more than just your health, definitely. So
that's so cool. I think a lot of people can relate to your story where, sometimes you're just not conscious of it. It's like, no, it's just kind of how I've grown up, and it's just kind of who I am. And then when you start to kind of become more conscious of it, then it starts hitting you in the face. Like I've heard that so many times from people where they look back and that's the one thing they all say and they all have in common is how did they get this way? Like it wasn't like this my whole entire life. And so like I love that that when you kind of like saw for what it is and you're like it almost sounded like to me like you just suddenly realized like I'm not living my life the way I should be living it.
yeah, exactly.
Right? So I love that. So kind of talk about your process. Like when we met together, like what were your first thoughts when we met together the first time?
Well, Mandy, one of your other clients, she is my next door neighbor, and I watched her just out of the corner of my eye almost. Like you'd walk down, you'd go to your car and you'd see her and you'd say hi, and you just weeks after weeks and you just see her progress, and I'm just like, what are you doing? And so she'd been telling me about you for a while, and I just never made the message, never did it. And then one day it was just, I need to do it now. And so I was like, what's the her in messaging? So I sent you a Facebook message, and then you were like, come down now. And it was just like, all of a sudden things just started rolling on this one message. And so I went down there, spoke with you, and when I left the first meeting where we just got to know each other, understood goals, and I was just like, this is going to change. Like it's going to change the whole way I live my life. And so my parents are very supportive and also not supportive at the same time. So it's like they want you to do so good, but when you say do it with me, it's hard to get people to do it with you, or they'll do it for a week and things like that. So I was just preparing myself for that because I've seen other people. I've seen my mom try and lose weight while we're eating what she shouldn't and things like that. And so it's just, I mentally prepared myself, which I think you have to do, or like most people, you'll fail. Like you just have to mentally prepare yourself, and even your mentally preparedness, like 2 weeks into it, you have to do it all over again just because you're not, okay, this is way more than I thought it was going to be. So I was excited at first because the first week you're pumped, you're ready to do it, you're just going, and then we worked out, we got a meal plan going, and I started realizing that food can be good and healthy, which the most misconception is healthy food sucks.
Yeah.
And so when I started eating better, I liked everything.
Yeah.
It was just, you had to cut back on the bad stuff, which that's the hardest thing for most people. But that first week, you're just like, you're dead set, you're ready to go. And then you see that weight loss, and you're just like, all right, I need to keep doing this. And so you just keep going. And when we would work out, I used to never work out. Like, I never liked the gym. I loved it. I loved going there after work. Just, it was a stress reliever, knowing I was bettering myself. So about probably like a month or two, I think it was, and it was like the hardest. I think about a month into it, I was ready to be done. Like I was just done. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much work. Because honestly, losing weight is a full-time job. Yeah. Because every night you have to figure out, what am I eating tomorrow? Is it going to work? What's my schedule for tomorrow? Like, applying it to your real life is so different than just only focusing on that. And so when I did meet you, when we did do it, I wasn't doing very much school, and I was only working part-time. So I could do that. I was like, okay, I'm going to the gym this time, I'm going here, I'm doing that. And then as we started, life got in the way, and it was just like, it's too hard. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, but you see the results if you do it right.
Yeah.
And so I was just, and even during the program, like, I was eating so good during the week, and then I'd be like, oh, I can have something good on the weekend. And I would still lose like a pound, but then you subconsciously start thinking, well, what if I didn't eat all those calories on the weekend? Or like, where would I be if I didn't do that? So it helps you, but it's also hard. It's hard.
It's hard.
Like, just, but worth it, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, you know, it's those changing those habits. I think that becomes like a full-time job, and I don't think it ever stops. I think that's part of like how people like perceive it. It's like it is work, and evolving into a healthy lifestyle. It takes like a lot of organization. There's prep and there's planning. Like there's all these things that go into it. But if you do have them, it's possible, right?
It definitely is. Definitely, it's when we ended the program, I was like, okay, I can do this, but I started working full time. I started going to school more, and it was just like things just started to fall apart. And then you'd catch yourself, and it had been a month since you worked out, and you were like, what are you doing? And it's just because you always have to think about it. Like, that's the worst, that's probably the most discouraging thing to realize is because you got overweight or you just grew up heavyweight, for the rest of your life you have to think about it. And for a while that scared me.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, well, is my life really better now? That before I never thought about this. Before it was never an issue. I always just thought, oh, my life is perfect. But now I consciously have to think about this. It's always something that has to be there. It's never something that you can just not think about. Yeah. Because, like I said, a month later and you gain 10 pounds. Right. And you're just like, wait, what am I doing? I just undid everything. And so that, I think, was the hardest thing for me to understand. To me, deal with almost. It's just, this is never going to stop. It's not something that you can do for 6 months and you lose weight and you can go back to the way you were. Right. You always have to think about it, and that was the hardest thing for me to just understand and accept, basically. So
yeah, and I again, like, I love that because it's like people don't understand. Like, it has to be a conscious behavior that we make, because when it's not, it's very easy for us to just, I mean, like, let's be honest, like gaining weight and becoming overweight and fat, like, it's easy because there's no work to do in it.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
And so I love that. Like, a lot of people don't realize, but so just why? Like, why to you is it so worth it to do it?
When I first started, it was, you wanted to get skinny. I was at that age, I was at that time in my life where college, I was in the middle of college, I was wanting to go out, you wanting to feel comfortable, you were wanting to dress in those fashion that you saw. It was more, when I first started, it was more about that. But as it progresses, you just realize how unhealthy you are, and how you start to see people who are older than you who are overweight, and how much they can't play with their kids, or they can't do this, they can't do that. And it's almost like an eye-opener. It's almost like when someone says, what's your favorite color, or things like that, and then all of a sudden you just start seeing your favorite color everywhere. Like, it's just someone like reminds you that that's your favorite color, and you see it everywhere. It's the same thing. When someone reminds you that you're not healthy, you see unhealthy everywhere, and you just start to realize, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. So you just start, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this so I can look like, then you see someone who is healthy, and you're consciously like, okay, I'm going to look like that. So then it's extremes. It's like your mind goes from, okay, I want to be skinny, I want to be slim, I want to look like this. And then you get into the health world. It's a totally different world from everyone. Yeah. And everyone should be a part of it, I think. Like, everyone it needs to be reality as opposed to a different world, as people would say. And so then you want to get strong. Because then you see these girls or you see these guys just lifting all this weight, and you're just like, that's what I want to do. Like, it's just awesome. And right now, that's probably where I'm at, where I'm past the, I want to be stick thin.
Yeah.
I want to be strong and healthy, and that's all I care about. And so it's just realizing that that's everything. It's just consciously, you're just always seeing people just, it's everywhere, unless all of a sudden you just decide that you're not going to think about it.
Yeah.
And then it's just, a month's gone, and
Yeah.
now you have to start all over.
Yeah.
So
No, I love that because it's you're creating your own world. You know, you create your own world, and it like everyone has this idea that health should look a certain way, but what I hear you saying is that you've kind of created it for what it looks like for you, and that really empowers us as people. Like when we start to take control and be able to create what it looks like for us, and we stop comparing ourselves like, oh, I have to look like this in order to fit in order to work out or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like you're able to kind of just create it for yourself, and it really is. That's how you stay motivated, right?
Definitely.
It's like how like people get so discouraged because they're always, I don't look like, I don't have that kind of body or this kind of body, but for you it's just I want to be healthy and I want to be strong.
Definitely.
So I love that. So like as far as like just kind of where you are, like even like confidence wise, like what's the difference now between now and then?
Confidence wise, I've always been a confident person. Even before I was okay with myself, basically. But it was almost like before I was blinding myself, where it was like, no, you look fine. Like, yeah, you're a little bigger, but you look fine. Like, it was almost like my confidence was blinding me at that point. And now my confidence is, yeah, you're still bigger than you want to be, but you're on the right road. Like, and so it's a totally different kind of confidence. It's just, I'm confident in myself that I can better myself, as opposed to just being confident where I'm at type of thing. And I think that's where people struggle with confidence, is they're confident where they are, but they're not confident in themselves going anywhere. And so I definitely think that was the biggest change, was just I was okay with myself going somewhere, as opposed to just being okay with where I was.
I love that. I've actually never heard anyone say it like that. But that makes like so much sense when you're saying like you can like be confident and stay where you are. But a lot of people that are like, well, could I really move and like change my body? And so I love the way that you said that, because I think that's what the majority of people like. The majority of people that decide not to do anything and they're kind of just stuck in their way, I think that's what it is. Like people can say I'm fine, because you could say that when we first started, you're like I'm fine, right? But now you're to a point where it's, well, I want more.
That's exactly what happened. A lot of people, they think overweight people always think about it. They never think, they're never confident. And people just think that, which sometimes I would think that. But then I would get these moments where I was like, but I feel good about myself. So like, what's wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with me being overweight and confident with myself? But then you get the little insecurities here. So you try something, and then your confidence changes where you're like, well, I can go somewhere. I can be better than I am now. And so that's the confidence that's just like, I can go somewhere as opposed to staying here. So definitely like
Holy
that.
smokes. Like, these are like the best answers, because like, I mean, like for me, like as a trainer, like it's like, no, you should want more. And I can say it all I want, but until that person really becomes conscious and says, man, I just want more. Like that's a game changer. Like I want everyone to know that, like that's a game changer right there. And so like, yeah, you could be good where you are, but wanting more, like there's nothing wrong with that. And like seeing yourself and like evolving and becoming that person, like is so powerful. So I love that. So like it's been like a year now. It's been a year since we like have worked together or anything. Like we've stayed in contact. What has it been like through the last year, just like on your own?
Hard. Definitely. When you have someone every week that's holding you accountable It's extremely different than when you have to do it on your own. And I will admit, I fell off, I got back on, I fell off, I got back on. Constantly, everything. And like I said before, you don't realize it until you decide, oh, I should weigh myself. And you realize, oh no, I guess I haven't been working out, or I'm doing this. There was about 3 months where I started full-time at work. I was traveling a lot. I was just living, basically, and I won't say I regret it at all.
Right.
Just because I was getting life moments that, yes, I stopped thinking about it, which, like I said, it's a full-time job, and I was trying to do 3 full-time jobs. Yeah. And so it was hard, and you have to learn how to eat on your own, because I got a nutrition plan every week from you. I knew what I was supposed to eat. And you can't eat chicken and almonds your whole life. Like, it's just, and you gave me the tools that I knew what I needed to do, so I didn't have to eat that always, but you know it works. And so you're like, okay, I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna follow this plan. And then it's just, you get overworked because basically you did most of the work for the food, and I just showed up every week and you told me what to do. Yeah. Now I had to do that on my own. I had to set up every Sunday what I was going to eat that week. What did I have time to work out? What was I going to do? Like, what was my workout? Everything was planned for you when you have a trainer, which that's why I think people need, because if you start on your own, how do you know you have those tools to do that? And so it was hard, but I fell off. I definitely gained some back. I definitely lost some more, and I gained it back. And it was just, I think a trainer for 6 months was the best thing that I ever did for myself. And then the year after having a trainer is also the most learning, probably even more than just the 6 months with you, just because I knew I had the tools, but it was doing it for yourself as opposed to just, I was doing it for you for those 6 months. Yeah. Like it really was. It was, you would show up every week, and I knew you were going to hold me accountable. So it was like, I'm not going to eat this because I need to lose. I need to show him that I'm following what he's telling me. I need to do this. And then you part ways and no one's holding you accountable for anything. It's just, my favorite saying is, what you eat behind doors, people see in public. And so it's definitely like, it's 100%. Like, that's exactly what happened. So I wasn't showing people I was eating bad things. My parents still thought I was following the plan, but I was eating bad things. Yeah. I was not eating what I was supposed to. I would come up with excuses not to work out. I'd be like, oh, I need to do this. I don't have time. And then 3 months pass, and you worked out 3 times in 3 months, and you've gained 15 pounds, and you're just like, I just wasted all of that. Yeah. And then that's the worst thing, though, is after those 3 months that happened, it was just like, well, I guess I could just continue with this. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, and because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, it's hard. Like, it was the hardest thing, but the best thing. Yeah. And so you fall off and you get on. And I think that's what has to happen in the first year for you to grow more, even because you can get a trainer and your whole life you're not going to do the same thing. It's just, it's not going to be that way. And so when I started CrossFit, when I started doing that, my dad got me into it. And so we went down there and we would have an awesome workout, but I was still not eating what I was supposed to. But I would go all day. I would eat what I wanted, wasn't thinking about it, nothing. And then we'd go work out. And it's in that workout, you realize that this was an awesome workout, but it has no effect because you ate over what you were supposed to. Or this is not going to better you weight-wise, which was my goal, was to lose weight. And so it was discouraging, and I was like, why isn't it making me want to eat better, though? Like, why am I still eating like this? Why isn't it changing? Because you always think something like that should change you. Yeah. And I did CrossFit for a month, and I still ate what I wanted. I still didn't think about food, but I was thinking about working out. And so I think that was the first step, was just, okay, I'm thinking about working out. That's one. Yeah. Instead of putting yourself down, I had to build myself up almost, just to be like, okay, you're working out at least. And then it got to, well, eat at least 2 healthy meals. And then it was just reapplying those tools you told me. It's just, you consciously have to think about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I lost was, I didn't want to think about it. Just because it is so much work, and I knew it was worth it, but when you just start losing it, it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's what I think discourages people. Because like I said, I was like, well, is it even worth it? Like, obviously my body's going to go back to the way it was if I don't think about it. And it was like, just wondering if it was worth it, and then doing it almost again, I would say.
Yeah.
Which people don't like that word. They don't like again. But it definitely, you need to do it again almost. It's almost like you need to fail, because if you're constantly succeeding, you're never going to know what to do when that actually fails. And that's what happened with me was the 6 months, I was constantly losing. I never, not 1 week did I not lose.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we parted ways, I gained.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, okay, I guess I'm just going to be like that. Like, that's just the way my life is going to be. I'm just going to be one of those people that just can't do it. And then you restart and you just start to work out more. And then about a month and a half into CrossFit, my diet went back to the way it should be, where it was just, I was consciously making an effort to understand what I was eating, what I was putting into my body, but almost in a different way than just so structured that I had for the 6 months. But taking those tools, taking that information that you gave me and applying it to real life things, more of like, okay, I can have this meat as opposed to I can only eat chicken type of thing. And my family, we eat lots of chicken. That's no problem for me. But some people it is. Some people, they can't eat that much.
Yeah.
And me, it was just, okay, you don't need pasta. Like, how are you going to get that same almost comfort effect from that food in a different way? And so that's definitely where it's been, just getting back. Failing and getting back is probably the hardest thing. But I think because it happened, it's going to be a longer stretch of positive reinforcements now, just because I know I can fail and I know I can gain it all back almost, and then just, but I know I can get back. Like, totally get back. So that's it's definitely been a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it is.
The ending is the best. So.
Yeah. This is like really cool to see. It's because her journey starts. She works with me. And you know, it's just like if someone were to tell you to build a house, you learn, you gain all the tools, right? And then it's up to you to continue to use the tools that you've been given to continue on your journey. But part of her journey has been like this learning curve where it's fail and then, okay, like this is not what I want. And so she picks herself back up and like starts making these small changes, and this is how the evolution process happens. It's like the power of association helps you create the habits. It helps you get all the tools that you need so that you can better your life in the future. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't see about personal training. And like most people do come into it like, I can do it by myself.
Yeah.
You know, I can lose weight by myself. And sure, you could. But it's that process of having the tools that I think changes it.
Definitely.
Where you can start to remotivate yourself to say, I got the tools. All I have to do is just start using the tools and I'll be okay. Where most people will just get really discouraged and just kind of think, man, I don't know. I don't really have anything. What I used didn't work last time. But the value is that you have tools that you know work and completely help you get right back on to where you need to be.
Yep.
And I love what you said, like, failing is part of your journey.
Definitely.
And that's like what makes you stronger in the end is because you're willing to fail. And I think people get this bad taste in their mouth when they hear failure. And I think people get this wrong idea that failure is bad and they need to beat themselves up for failing.
Yeah.
But I love the direction that you took it, where that was a good learning experience for me.
Definitely.
You know, where you can see like that's what I need to do and that's what I need to change. And now here you are, like today you're in CrossFit. You went and did CrossFit this morning, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. And now you're like, okay, I started with just the workouts. I started so small and just like built back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, okay, now I'm fixing my nutrition.
Yep.
And so it doesn't have to be like this big thing like all at once.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's something that people become overwhelmed with a lot of the
For sure.
times. You know, where with me, again, like, because you invested in it, it's like, okay, I got to do everything all at once. I only have 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But now you see, you don't have to. Like, if you need to start back up just with workouts, that's a good start.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
so I love it. So, what would be like your biggest, like, for anyone who is where you were when you first started? Where did you start at? Do you mind sharing that?
Weight wise?
Yeah.
204.
204.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much did you lose during the 6 months? Do you remember?
I think it was 40. I'm pretty
40.
sure that's what it was, about 40.
And you can see the difference when you lose fat. 40 pounds of fat looks totally different than like 100 pounds, even just like weight wise, scale wise, right? Because it looks like that. It looks like from your before and afters, it totally looks like that's like 100-pound weight loss. Like most people would think that, right? So the difference is when it's fat loss, it makes total difference.
Definitely.
So like for people who were where you were when you began, in just like 6 months, like that's short.
It is.
That's a short period of time, and so that's why I love your story. But what would be your biggest advice to those people?
Probably the first thing would just be to mentally prepare yourself for failure. Because, like you said, a lot of people don't like to hear that, and a lot of people get a bad taste in their mouth. But you will succeed through your training. If you listen, if you're determined, you will succeed. But you will fail also, especially when it's over, almost, or even in the middle. You fail, mentally you can fail because you're mentally, you don't want to go, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this, and you have to mentally prepare yourself for that. And so that's the one thing that I'm glad that I had almost was just I knew that I was probably going to fail at some point, just because I'd fail in life and other things. And I was okay with that. And so I think it's just becoming okay with failure. Like, you can't go into training and think, this is it. This is going to be my life for the rest of my life. Because it's not going to be that way. It's going to be hard. You're going to fail. You're going to win. You're going to fail. Like, it's going to be a constant that. So I just think probably the most common, something I would tell people would just be like, just be prepared to fail. Like, just be prepared, but be prepared to be okay with that. To be okay with gaining again. Or being okay with losing all that weight and gaining half of it back. But knowing that you're mentally prepared for that, you can get back from that failure. And so I think that's the one thing that people need to do first when they walk in to talk to a trainer. Is understand that this person is going to give you everything that you need, everything for a certain amount of time, and then you're going to have to do it on your own, and you probably will fail just because you've studied. You know what you're supposed to do. You know that's what you do for a living, is that. Whereas someone who's getting trained, that's not what they do for a living. That's not what they probably want to do for a living. So just be prepared, basically, which is the hardest thing to do, is just be prepared. But just take a day, the day before, an hour before you go see a trainer, or you're deciding, even an hour before you decide that you're going to start working out. Just take yourself and be like, it's okay to fail. You're going to do good sometimes, you're going to do bad sometimes. So just be prepared for that. And then everyone would say, just make sure you follow the diet, things like that. But that's inevitable, basically. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's advice, is just follow the plan. But don't just follow it. Don't just glance over it. Understand it almost. Take those from like, okay, you gave me this. Like when I was working with you, I would ask, well, why am I eating that? Like, why am I eating so many carbs this time? And why didn't we do it last week? And you explain it. Like, you tell me straight up, like, this is why we're doing it. We're going to see what your body likes. And so you just have to almost learn from it as opposed to just being told what to do. And I think you'll come out of even 6 months of just understanding the essence of health and fitness, as opposed to just being like, well, I had a trainer for 6 months and I have no idea what to do now because he's not there or she's not there, something like that. So probably just be prepared.
That's
basically
so cool.
it. Just be
I love
prepared
it.
and understand.
Yeah, so be okay with failing. And then this is like a life principle. Like we all fail in life, and the more you can be okay with failure and just expect failure, anticipate failure, like the better off you'll be. Like just anticipate it because it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the growth that like you get from your failure. So I love it. Like your journey has been like it's so fun to watch, like so motivational, like so inspiring for I think a lot of women like that are in your situation. I think a lot of women can relate to a lot of the things that you said today. So like I thank you for being here today and like sharing those things because I think they're so like the information and just hearing you talk. Like I haven't you guys I haven't heard anything that she said today. Like this is like all unscripted, and so it's so cool to hear her journey and to see where she's come, how far she's come, and she literally has evolved into this person who can see herself differently and looks at health and fitness in such a different light than what most people do. It's not about the six-pack abs. Those are nice. Those are results. But really, like, you should understand why you do it for you and get a good defining understanding of what that really means and what it really looks like for you. So, guys, thank you for watching. Like, do you have any last words that you want to say?
No, I think
No?
covered
Cool.
everything.
Okay, I'm Matt Johnson, leader of the pack. If you want to evolve, I've added a link. Click the link if you're ready to evolve, and you can have a journey just like Chalice's, like 6 months. 6 months to completely evolve your life, to completely transform. If you're interested and you want to evolve, and you're like dying to know, like, how did we do it with Chalice? You want to know? Click the link and enter your email, and just start your path. Start your path and join the pack and see what you can do in 6 months. Okay? I love you.